Hi everyone, hope you're doing a video about the consequences of Kurt Zouma's injury. What we're going to do between now and January. What we're going to do in January. Does the Kurt Zouma injury change the landscape for Moyes and West Ham United? Because I think it does. A lot of people might feel the Ogbonna injury did that, but I was quite hesitant to agree with that opinion. I thought that Moyes might feel with Diop, Dawson and obviously Kurt Zouma, a loan deal or a cheap signing or something might be enough to, just a bit of squad depth, might be enough to tide us over till the summer and we'll reevaluate once Ogbonna's near in full fitness. But with the injury to Kurt Zouma, I think it changes. I think the whole thing has changed for the January transfer window. Now there's a lot of rumours on social media presently that Kurt Zouma's out until April. This is yet to be officially confirmed, although there is a lot of rumours and some reliable people as well suggesting that this is true. It looked bad on Saturday, didn't it? It sounded bad. It sounded bad for Kurt Zouma. Apparently he heard it pop. I think this is I say news, it's still just rumours, but it's the news that all West Ham fans have been dreading. Just how serious is that injury to Kurt Zouma? And this is going to sound a bit sad, but I'm going to say it. It took the shine off the win for me a little bit. It probably didn't help that I wasn't there. I think if you were at the ground, I think you would have possibly been able to enjoy it a little bit more because you've got the atmosphere thing. But on Saturday, we beat Chelsea, obviously. I enjoyed that fantastic win and stuff. But the injury to Kurt Zouma was almost like a dark cloud over what was a fantastic win for West Ham. And I've been a bit nervous, to be honest with you. I've been a bit nervous for finding out just how bad this Kurt Zouma injury is, because he's such an important player, such a big part to this squad. And that's isolated when you add in the injury to Ogbonna as well. Together, we've just lost our first choice centre-back pairing, and what a centre-back pairing it was as well. And I think it's almost like a double blow, really. So the big question is, what are West Ham going to do? What's David Moyes going to do without Kurt Zouma and, of course, Ogbonna? Well, short term, I think we know the answer. I think there's two options, really. There's more than two options, but I think, realistically, what we will see from David Moyes, I think there's two. First one, we continue as we are with Diop and Dawson centre-backs. We continue with our back four. Dawson and Diop are the centre-backs in Premier League. I think that's the most likeliest one that we will see. They've done well in Europa League. They've done well. However, I'm quite cautious. I'm quite cautious of that. And I've been quite consistent at saying it as well throughout the Europa League campaign. And that is, the opponents were poor. I think it was almost easy for Dawson and Diop to look good in those games because Zagreb, Genk and Vienna, they barely threatened our defence. And I don't think we've seen a true reflection of just how good that partnership is, really. Sunday we play Burnley. I think they're in for a far tougher test at Turf Moor against Burnley, who are currently in the bottom three of the Premier League, than they're faced in the Europa League. Out that 6 Europa League group games, which will be the case after Thursday, I think Sunday will be a bigger test than any of those games. That's what I feel. So I don't think we've seen a true test of that centre-back period. But to play devil's advocate, to my own point, maybe it's a good thing that they've had sort of easy games to get used to each other in the Europa League, that they've been able to establish a partnership. And I think this is one slight advantage to those two playing than any other changes in the team, is that they have got a partnership there. They have got experience playing with each other regularly, week in, week out. And this is probably the biggest benefit to the Europa League that not necessarily goes unspoken or unnoticed, but you're able to try things like that. You know, Lanzini played well against Chelsea at the weekend there. He was able to be sort of match fit by playing in the Europa League, so when we need him in the Premier League, he's ready to go. We're not bringing in a rusty Lanzini, as would be the case if he hasn't played any football at all. He's just got some appearances here and there, kind of thing. But I think that's the first option. The Diop and Dawson one, I think, is the most obvious one, and it should be enough. It should be enough to get us through till January at least, where then we can reevaluate and hopefully bring in some additions in the centre back area. Now the second most realistic option, I think there's only two realistic options as to what we're going to see from David Moyes here. And that's to switch to back three. Dawson, Diop and Creswell. I think this is probably our most likeliest one, but this one almost depends. This back three thing probably depends on the injury news, which we haven't got yet, for Ben Johnson. Obviously Ben Johnson went off against Chelsea. Didn't look as serious as Zouma's one, I don't think. I think it looked more like a strain rather than pulling the hamstring itself. So I'm a bit more hopeful for good news regarding Ben Johnson. But if he wasn't fit, yes, we can still play Masuaku and Fredericks. But I don't know if Moyes would be his key. I think if Ben Johnson was fully fit for Burnley, I wouldn't be surprised to see a back three with the wing-back system coming back in. Because we've seen Moyes do that in the past before, where he loses one of his first choice centre backs, so he makes up for it by putting another centre back there and sort of making sure that defence is absolutely solid for the upcoming games. But big decisions for David Moyes, because it's a huge loss. Losing Ogbonna to injury is one thing. Losing Kurt Zouma is one thing. They're both hard to take, but you'll get by losing just one of them, I think. But to lose both at the same time, it's a double blow for David Moyes. And it's frustrating. It leaves you cursing your bad luck, really, because that was the partnership. Over the season, we've had some good partnership, but they've always felt a little bit temporary, that eventually bad form would creep in for one of them and they'd have to be taken out, someone else would go in. But that too, you just looked at it and you felt that is a solid centre-back position, sorted for the long term. When I say long term, I mean the season, simply the season. You're looking at the upcoming fixtures as a strikers and thinking good luck against R2, because you're going to need it. You'll get by without one of them. We've seen that. Ogbonna's out. We got by so far without him. We have missed him, but we're managing. We're getting there. But to lose both, it's about kicking the balls. But gentlemen, if you are going to get a kick in the balls, make sure they're nicely groomed with the help of the Lawnmower 4 from Manscaped. In order to help you get your hands on that, to help yourself down there, we're giving you 20% off absolutely everything plus free shipping when you put in the code HammersChat. Head over to manscaped.com, put everything in your basket, including the Lawnmower 4, maybe a bit of cologne. They brought a cologne out with the festive period round the corner to help you smell nice, gentlemen. Get that in your basket as well. Anything that tickles your fancy, get it in there. And if there's anything tickling you, they do creams for that as well. But get everything in the basket, put in the code HammersChat with no spaces. They'll give you 20% off plus free shipping. Christmas is around the corner, the mistletoe is going up. You're going to want to get a bit lucky. So in order to do that, get the cologne on, look good down there, just in case, and you shan't regret it. But speaking of getting lucky, that's not David Moyes. Let's get back to talking about West Ham and the injuries. Now, we've done the first two options. We'll do the transfer market now, and then we'll deal with the lesser two options. One option I really don't want to see. But in regards to the transfer market, like I said at the start of the programme, and I've done in a couple of other videos, I didn't think the Ogbonna injury would change the landscape that much for David Moyes. I think we'll have a relatively decent sized budget. 40 million is roughly what I think we'll spend. I think you'd be looking at that thinking we can get in a striker, a player from Old Trafford, and a centre back, and you can divvy up 10-15 million per position. And I think I would be surprised if that wasn't what the rough plan is for West Ham. But I do worry that this changes it. I do worry now we're looking at that centre-back position. Should the timeline be true of the until April, that's pretty much the rest of the season, isn't it? Even if he comes back in April, by the time he's ready to go again, we're into May. You'd forgive Moyes for deciding if he wants to spend half, if it was 40 million, if he wants to spend half the budget on the centre-back position and get in a serious player for that area. I completely understand it altogether, and it does worry me that that's then going to have a domino effect, that we're going to see that impacted elsewhere in the team, in the budget. So we might only bring in 2 players instead of 3. So what other player do we get in? And I think after the game against Chelsea, I think Moyes gave us a subtle clue when he spoke about getting in a number 9. He essentially said, we try and get a number 9 that comes in to a side that's in the top 6 of the Premier League. It's not going to be easy or cheap. Then he spoke about Lingard, and he said that he basically said we'll try and get someone in that's going to score goals or add that dynamic that Lingard added. It wasn't we're going to get someone in to score goals and someone to do what Lingard did. He used the word or, which was I think was quite key, and I think that was a bit of a hint as to what he intends to do in the transfer window. So I wouldn't be surprised we want to see one defender and one attacking minded player come in January, but that's probably me reading too much into it. But I do think it changes how Moyes will approach the January transfer window. Now, the two options that I don't want to see, or should I see one of them? I don't want to see Declan Rice. Declan Rice can obviously play centre back. He's played there under David Moyes as well. I don't want to see it at all. I don't want to see it because it's not that Declan would be a bad centre-back. I think he'd be a terrific centre-back. I think he probably would help us out defensively. But what you would lose from the centre of the park with Declan is immense. It's immeasurable. To think of West Ham playing, and I know Declan Rice would still be in the team, he'd just be in a different position. To think of West Ham playing in the Premier League without Declan Rice in centre midfield, I worry a little bit. I think, yes, okay, the defence would improve, but let's just say, for simplicity, here's your defender performance, here's your midfield performance. You've lost Zouma, so it's dropped down a bit. So how are you going to do it? Well, I'll put Rice in there to bring it up a bit. Yeah, you probably would. But I think your centre midfield performance would drop a little bit. And I don't think it balances itself out. I think you're just moving the problem from one area of the pitch to the other. Centre back, sorry. What are you going to do in centre midfield now? Not too sure, really. I don't want to see Declan Rice used as a centre back in order to cover for the Kurt Zouma injury. Now, there is another option which I have no opinion on to some extent, and that's Alex Kral. I remember when in the summer we were looking at him, I say before the summer, before the season even finished, we were looking at him. So I had a brief snapshot look of Alex Kral, and I recall picking up that he played centre back quite a lot in his career. And when we bought him, I remember saying that he's predominantly a defensive midfielder, but he can play centre back. Statistics suggest he does. So I had a little look, and he's not played there since Fortuna, so even for his last club, he didn't play centre back. But he has played over 30 games at centre back in a 120 game career. So, you know, a quarter of his career, if you like, he has played centre back. Now, that's according to transfermarket.com. So if anything's wrong, blame Transfermarket, not Geo. But I'll put a link to that profile so you can go have a look for yourself. But I thought it was just interesting that Alex Kral has played that many games. Now, I don't think we'll see this for two reasons, really. Well, probably three. One, we've never seen him play centre back. He's not played there recently, so it would take a lot of blind faith from David Moyes to put him in there. Two, we've got this clause, haven't we, in his loan deal. If he plays X amount of games, we have to sign him. And I know you'd argue, well, if he's centre back and he plays well and we sign him, sure, that's a good thing. But then rather than playing centre back and he's okay, we're almost agreeing to pay 15 million for someone that perhaps is a little bit fortunate. He's playing in a position we probably don't really need him to play long term at West Ham. So I just don't think we'll see it. But I think it's a bit of an option, really. But like I said, that's the options, really. Of course, we've got the youngsters, haven't we? Elise in particular is left-footed, so it probably gives him a bit of an edge, being a left-footed centre-back. And then obviously we've got Baptiste. That's the two centre-backs held in high regard. Now, Moyes, at the weekend, also spoke about how he likes to have a small squad. And part of that comments was, it allows youngsters the opportunity. Well, I don't think this is the opportunity he meant. I don't think he meant Kurt Zouma is going to get injured, so one of you two can get in there. And I don't think we'll see it. But with the Zagreb game on Thursday, it being a free hit as well, we might see Moyes try something there. He might try Kral centre back. He might try Elise and Baptiste. He might play Dawson and Elise or something. He might try something at centre back. And worst case scenario for these two youngsters in particular, I think certainly going forward between now and January, I think there's a place on the bench for them. And like I said, the one nitpicking thing I was a bit with on Saturday was on the bench. We didn't have a centre back. We had Masuaku in there as a defensive cover, and that was about it. And I just thought there was an opportunity to put Elise or Baptiste on the bench. And going forward, I think that will be the case, that one of them at least will be involved in the senior squad. Certainly, at least until the January transfer window. Will we see one of them get a call up to the first team? Probably not. I'd be surprised. Like I said, Europa League certainly, the League Cup possibly, depends how we're getting on in the league kind of thing. And we might have a Premier League game somewhere. You know, we've got Arsenal midweek. Now, I don't necessarily think he would play the youngster against Arsenal, but certainly against Norwich on the 18th of December, for example, might present a good opportunity to try Elise at centre-back if Moyes feels he is ready for first-team football. And I guess that's the big question. Does Moyes feel that Elise and Baptiste are ready? I think, in the case of Baptiste, I think the answer would be yes, because we've seen him on the bench before. He's been involved in the senior squads prior, and I think this might present an opportunity for Yamal to get some game time for West Ham in the Premier League between now and January. Will it happen? I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's unlikely, but I certainly wouldn't say no chance. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there and disappear. Like I said, the rumours of Kurt Zouma being out until April are simply just rumours at this point in time, although it looks likely. The rumours seem to be quite loud. Devastating news for West Ham. You know, but not at the end of the season. We can still have a fantastic season. It might come down to January, though. It might just come down. I think most people feel who we buy in January is important prior to the injury. I think they just got even more important. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe when you're around here. Myself and Gonzo, well, Gonzo's not here. I'm just used to saying that now, haven't I? Myself and Gonzo, we'll catch you in a bit.